Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a couple weeks and I'm super excited to dive in and create some new Fakemon designs. Last time I finished up our grass starter line Pateco. If you didn't catch that video, definitely go and check it out. I am so proud of the designs and I think they turned out brilliantly. Today, however, I'll be finishing up the fire starter line Oromarin. With how much trouble Oromarin was to design, it kind of became my least favourite design of all the starters, but I'd like to change that today. I challenged myself to make a design as regal and appealing as Selene Wyrim, a Pokemon that I would like to take on my journey. I don't think I've ever chosen the Fire-type starter before, and I'd like to change that today. I had a few paths I could take with Oromarin's evolution. I had already set up alchemy as a big theme for the designs, whilst also mentioning gold mining in its dex entry. I wanted to take time to explore these themes as well as the individual Pokemon's personality to create an interesting and unique design for this monkey line. Without further ado, let's go! So to start things off, let's get into the middle stage evolution. As with the Pateco line, I finished the final stage first and did the middle stage last so I could properly bridge the two designs. I think it's important to incorporate something a little different in the middle stage design, as there's no point in having a 3-stage line if the middle stage is redundant. Keeping in mind the inspiration I drew for the final stage, I decided to make the middle stage a fully fledged gold miner. Oromarin starts out as a helper and guide in mining communities, having an affinity for finding gold. Then this stage starts mining for itself, collecting precious ores and transmuting them into other metals and alloys. I think this will lead quite nicely into the final evolution where it takes all the metals it's collected and finally ascends. I found a nice reference photo for the pose and started looking at the design elements I wanted to incorporate. I made a sort of hard hat out of fiery golden fur and wanted to incorporate a gemstone that could be seen as a flashlight, the types miners wear. I had the idea to turn its tail into a pick-type shape that it could use to extract metal ores, and I also thought a set of gloves and boots would really drive the design home. I will say this design is quite bulky and dark, and definitely not my usual style. I wanted to diversify the design conventions I usually fall back on, as Pokemon come in all shapes and sizes, and I didn't want to box myself in. The design is very dark as it spends all its time in caves picking up dust, dirt and coal. And I think this also goes to mirror its kind of isolated personality. The back is quite bulbous and almost looks like a sack where you could keep all your treasures. Overall, I think this design definitely reads coal miner, though I'm not entirely sure it's my kind of vibe. I like the design conventions I used, and I think I did a good job, but it doesn't quite read as my style. I like it a bit more sleek and elegant. And maybe once I've come to grips on the kind of bulky, brutish art style, I'll come back and redesign this one. Ignismith mines and collects various metals, utilising alchemy to transmute them into precious alloys. Renowned for its fiery forging prowess, it shapes the Earth's treasures with molten finesse. This industrious Pokemon, drawn to rare ores, roams mountain ranges, its agile tail an adept tool for extracting metallic treasures. Its alchemical abilities turn the mundane into brilliance, making Ignismith a sought-after companion among trainers and metallurgists. So now onto the final evolution. This felt like a very daunting task at first. I had so many design elements floating around in my head that needed streamlining and perfecting. And as I've mentioned, I've never really been drawn to the fire-type starter before, so I was afraid of flubbing it. I think my issue with fire types in general is that they tend to be quite boring for me. Red animals on fire. I was looking through a bunch of fire types to see what appealed to me, and the designs I like tended to have a minimal use of that fire red, and usually no actual fire in their designs. And the fire type is usually implied through the creature itself and the power it exudes. Pokemon like Houndoom, Salazzle and Volcarona. I wanted to keep that in mind for my own design, but found myself naturally steering clear of reds and fire elements. I ended up adding red as an accent colour rather than a main colour and kept the fire symbolism to just tufts of fur. I grappled with the direction I wanted to take the design. Did I want to go full alchemy scientist or golden monkey god? I liked both ideas and tried making its chest a science tunic, then attempting to make it a metal breastplate, but neither quite looked right. I found the alchemical symbol for creation and thought it would make a nice headdress, but overall there was a lack of cohesion with the design so far. It wasn't until a recent trip to the National Gallery in London that I found my true inspiration for this design. My favourite art era is Romanticism. I find the paintings have so much depth and feeling to them. They're awe-inspiring to me, but on this trip, a painting from the 1400s caught my eye. Saint Michael Triumphs Over the Devil by Bartolomé Bermejo. It's quite as the title describes, Michael adorned in golden armour and wings, defeating this ratty, weird-looking devil. It's an absolutely gorgeous painting, and my mind went immediately to imagining Oromarin's final evolution based off of this painting. Why? I have no idea. Maybe it's the golden armour, or the medieval vibe that my region is trending towards, or maybe it was just the crazy thought of giving the monkey wings, but I dived headfirst from there. I translated the pose over, turned Michael's sword into the monkey's tail, following the tail tool design element from the middle stage starter, and began working out the fine details. I was happy with the headdress, but how would I incorporate wings? I initially thought of a cape that kings would wear with the fluffy collars, and thought that could be a cool, low-key way to incorporate this design element. I do think it could have worked, but the wings just looked so limp and sloppy. I tried a few more times until I decided to bite the bullet and make them proper wings. But why does a monkey have wings, you might be asking? And I actually came up with an idea. After mining and transmuting metals, they eventually found the perfect metal that had the consistency and visuals somewhere between platinum and diamond. And with their mystic knowledge, they ascended, donning wings and a crown. Is it contrived? Maybe, but I think it's pretty cool. The body of the design gave me a bit of trouble after that. I was told it initially looked too human-like, so in an attempt to make it more monkey, I ended up with a more simple and less curvy body plan. I think this worked as the design was loud enough already. I also found out that monkeys do not have human feet. Shocker. Anyways, the colouring process was fun as always, and I thoroughly enjoyed rendering its shiny metallic wings. I think this design looks so cool, and I'm happy I was able to have such an interesting and unique reference for it. Sancta Simeon, dedicated to the art of alchemy, ascended to divinity, boasting crystalline metal wings that are harder than diamond. Protecting the vulnerable, it forms bonds with trainers of unwavering morality, defending the defenseless. Guided by an innate sense of justice, Sancta Simeon employs its golden tail as a sword and glittering wings as a shield. Revered for its wisdom, this Pokemon is a symbol of hope and compassion, inspiring righteousness in those fortunate enough to call it an ally. And that's another episode for the books. What do you think of this line? I think I very much did Oromarin justice, and I love the storyline I ended up with. I do think Ignismith could use a bit of reworking in the future, as I'm not fully convinced that its design is as good as I know it can be, but for now, I'm content. Let me know in the comments below if you would pick Sancta Simeon for your journey. I am absolutely besotted with it, to be honest. I think it's very unique, and despite the plethora of references, I managed to make a very coherent design. As of now, there is only Heatran as a fire steel type, and I think Sancta Simeon makes a fun, offensive counterpart to it. As always, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe, it really means the world to me, and thank you so much for all the love and support. This has been such a fun experience, and I cannot wait to make Coela Chimera's evolutions in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for more, and until next time, goodbye!